Okay, I'm gonna open the Seabrook School Board meeting, the Pledge of Allegiance at 4:30.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'm gonna go right to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Gonna open it right now. Anybody? If not, in between public comment, can we ask if people, can we move on with the agenda unless somebody's coming up, or do we have to be quiet for 30 minutes?
No, we move on with the agenda.
Alright, I never had this happen. Usually we have people here, so, okay, so the first thing I wanna do is add other on the agenda, so we can accept the resignation that we just got, was it 2 days now, or a day?
It was 2 days.
So a motion to add other,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. And then I'm just gonna make a motion to accept the resignation with regret of Patrick Knott from the Seabrook School Board. And do we have a second?
One second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'll discuss what we're gonna do with that next meeting. And then we're gonna move right on, and
And I have to.
Go ahead. do you wanna read
Yeah,
It's
I'll read
reading
it,
now.
I'll read it from here because I don't
the
have.
request? And you probably already have it, I don't know, but just for the record, just moving forward, and we'll talk a little bit about the meeting date. So we started a little early, and my philosophy is, first of all, there's 2 of us that are new on the board. Second of all, we had a default budget. And honestly, the taxpayers usually always give the schools everything. So that was a little, shocking to me coming on new. I know there was a lot going on, but as a board, we really wanna advocate to make that work this time around, because we don't want another default budget. So the time frame of the 14th that you would have it ready, we are gonna utilize that 12th meeting to do whatever you have for data. If you don't have everything, we can't do anything about it. You have what you have, but we would like to have the list that she's reading off. So the 12th would be our regular school board meeting anyways, but we have nothing for the agenda. And so we're gonna utilize that to start a little early and hopefully prep and not have last minute questions, answers, delays, and get our school board budget over on the time of the 18th for the next meeting. And then the 24th, Matt, I think you had penciled in, we may not even need it. So I'm trying to help relieve you in a way with that, because we're probably not even gonna utilize that. Hopefully we'll be done on the 18th. As long as we have all the data we need and everybody gets what they need to look at and we understand the budget, I think things are gonna go smoothly. If we don't have what we need and we've gotta keep going back and forth of we need this, we need that, what does it look like for this group or this group? If we have it all laid out, we'll have the time to really study it, look at it, and then when we come to you and we sit at the table, hopefully it will be a really easy process. And I know maybe you can't get everything we need, but a lot of stuff hopefully we can, and Kelly is gonna read the list of what we're looking for out loud so that the community can hear what it is as well.
Well, I wanna take a vote too, so there's no misunderstandings and
Yeah.
standings under the after fact.
Okay. Go
Alright, so, well, I'll start by saying that I actually sent on September 24th, I started on September 24th trying to get information for the budget. And email from the 24th, 25th, 26th, October 4th, October 7th, October 8th, we took a vote, October 9th, I sent specifications, October 10th, I was told that the specifications were not gonna work because it has to be reported to the state in a different manner. So I came back and said that it doesn't matter, we don't mind the way that it's sent to the state, but we would prefer it the way it's presented to us in this specific manner. And then 6 days later, I was told that it wouldn't work that way because of having to mingle different accounts, but I'm still requesting to have it done the same way. So, alright, so I said, Just to specify, the book I dropped off is under departments, the one for the town. Obviously, the school would not be by departments, it would be itemized by grade. For example, and again, this is an example, a teacher's name, their salary, the cost of benefits, stipends for that teacher, their holiday pay, life insurance, education pay for that grade, anything that would have to do with any of the staffing that works in that particular grade. And then for each grade, the supplies, the cost for that grade, because we know that the teachers submit their list. The number of students per grade on IEPs, the amount billed out per service per grade, the actual revenue received for these students for services per grade, any EA assigned to that grade, their salary and what benefits per employee per grade. If that grade has students that we pay McKinney-Vento transportation or any benefits to, please provide the number of students for that grade and the cost we pay for that transportation per student, and what we receive for funding for that student, or if there's another town that pays half of the cost, please indicate. Please provide a breakdown of free and reduced lunches per grade and how much revenue we receive per grade for free and reduced lunches. These are just examples of what will be included per grade. I'm sure there's items that I did not include that you would be aware of that you would add per grade, but everything broken down per grade, per line item for all grades. If there's a cost of curriculum materials per grade, and then I just said I wanted to send an email so that would be specific. I dropped off the book and I'm sure it'd be helpful too in case of any questions, but it's self-explanatory. So the reason for this is during the deliberative session last year and the budget, there was concerns with the social worker that they wanted us to put in the budget from ESSA funds. And by the time we got done with the deliberative and with the budget, it was quite clear that the concerns were that we really never saw how many services were billed out for that social worker. I did do some research, and it doesn't follow along a privacy concern by giving the board IEPs and the services provided for each IEP, because you're not required to put the name. But if we are approving purchase orders of $133,000 for outsourced services such as OT and PT, we really need to have some type of documentation justifying those services. Same with McKinney-Vento Act. I mean, I think after just going into a default budget and expecting the board just to approve purchase orders of $7,000 for transportation for a few students, I mean, we need some type of documentation. I know that if you walk into the town hall and there's somebody that's requesting services because they're financially in need, there's documentation they must provide. There has to be some type of documentation that shows that they are eligible for services in the town. It has to be the same way with the school. There has to be some type of documentation that can be provided to the board that we can see, yes, we do in fact are responsible for this student. Because in as far as not having a breakdown of how many services that we are billing out versus how much we're getting reimbursed, same with McKinney-Vento Act students, I mean, I don't know how we're not bankrupt with the amount of money that we're paying out for just McKinney-Vento Act transportation without seeing what we're actually being reimbursed. So I'm just thinking that there's really no way to do a breakdown by department, but if we do it by grade, then you can indicate the amount of students, because we're getting what we've got in the last 4 years that I've been on the board is basically a number that says we have 62 IEPs and this is the much money we're making in Medicaid. That to me is not justifying the taxpayers how much we're actually billing out and how much we're receiving. I guess the other thing is that we had an invoice for $12,000 for OT and PT services for Exeter Pediatric OT and PT, and it says how many hours, but that doesn't tell us how many students, that doesn't tell the services we're providing. why are we not billing insurance for that? I mean, do these students not have insurance?
We don't bill insurance. It's
Why?
just because federally we're obligated as a school system to provide those services as part of their education. It's access to education.
Right, but
It's not a
Medicaid,
medical service.
right, but Medicaid can be billed for services.
Medicaid can be billed for services for
Yeah.
students who qualify for Medicaid and whose
Right.
parents have signed
Right.
permission to bill,
Yeah.
which is a relatively small percentage, and those revenues, we don't know who's eligible.
How about if we finish the thing, finish the conversation, and then whatever you guys gotta do to make it work or can't work, you can explain after. Cause we wanna get through this, so Kelly, we finish what you were saying.
So you're telling me that the services are billed out, but how do we receive the reimbursement? Why are you laughing?
I'm looking at Denise because Denise handles Medicaid reimbursement for our district.
Okay,
We don't have information on which students are directly eligible for services. We bill for all of our students and we get reimbursement based on the system's determination of who's eligible. We
okay,
bill
so
for
let me
everyone.
ask you the questions then. Alright, so if the student has IEP services and they're billed out through Medicaid, you do all the billing for all the schools in the SAU?
Yes.
Okay, and when they, and so you bill it out, but you never receive anything back saying which students are eligible and which students are not?
No.
You don't
get it
receive that?
Therefore, you have to have parent permission in
Yeah.
order to bill, and you also, there's a percentage that is billed out.
Right. So when that gets billed out, so, alright, so let's say that my child came in, they had services, they had Medicaid. You had something in front of you, obviously, that they signed with consent to bill. Yes?
If we do, yes.
Okay, well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
don't
goes
understand
into a
why
so-
we wouldn't be asking,
It goes into a
No, I do
software,
that.
Right here.
it goes into a
Right here's your
software program.
Yeah.
And there's certain services you can bill for, certain services you can't, there's a
Yeah.
percentage. We go through, this software company is the one that figures out what's
Who
billed.
was,
It's easy something, I already said.
Easy Medicaid.
Yep. Okay, so
Yep.
when the student receives the services,
Mm-hmm.
the person that performed the services billed them from here, from school, because they have to enter the services in
Yeah.
the computer.
So
They're not aware of who has Medicaid.
it has to be documented,
Yep.
yes. It won't be billed if it's not documented.
Right?
Yep.
So then after it's billed, it goes to you, correct?
After it's
Because if it's billed out here,
billed, it goes to,
They document services at the school level.
yeah,
You oversee monitoring the
and
software
Gretchen,
system.
yes, Gretchen and I.
Mhm.
So then Gretchen bills the Medicaid,
okay, so you
whatever
don't
the
bill the
percentage.
Medicaid. So you don't bill the Medicaid?
Medicaid, no, well, the state, right?
that's
I
the
mean,
state insurance Medicaid.
yeah,
Can I ask a quick question? So if Jane, there's gotta be some type of tracking, cause obviously you couldn't just bill the state $100,000 and not say this is for 15 students, Jane Doe, whoever it is.
Right.
So there's gotta be some kind of way that you can tell the board, hey, we're billing for X amount of kids. It doesn't, no names, no nothing, cause I think we give too much information sometimes, even with initials is questionable.
So you looked at number of students.
Yeah,
We
but
already
then
have the number of students, but we
the,
need a breakdown on
Of
how
what?
many IEPs we have, which we already get that,
So we can provide that.
but how many services we're billing
Sure.
out. So in other words, when we have a budget and we're being told, okay, well, we really need to add an OT or a PT, we're not being shown anything that shows how many students that we have that require OT or PT services. So basically, everything we receive is basically just through, we're supposed to just take the word for it and assume that, okay, well, I guess we do, because there's no, so in other words, in any budget, even, and yeah, I always compare to the town, but anytime they're providing services, we see proof that the services are being provided, whether it's a number of trash deliveries or,
Well,
dump
that's,
service.
so you see the proof when you get the invoices. When we're budgeting, we're estimating, because we're
Yeah.
budgeting a year in advance. So we're basing it on our current students and what we
Yeah.
anticipate the service would be provided. So for Medicaid, when we bill out for all Medicaid eligible services.
Mhm.
However, we we don't get much in Medicaid reimbursement. I mean, last year it was about $55,000, so it's a very small amount that we get reimbursed for. But I mean, when we put the budget together, so we base it on the number of students we currently have, and so the anticipated number of hours for OT or PT. I mean, we could provide you more detailed information as far as like we anticipate, we'll need an OT for 20 hours a week, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very, I mean, it's
Full report that we review as part of the budget process for every service that we're providing. That's part of the thing. We
So if
run
you
that
want
through
more-
our Easy IEP
Wait a minute,
system.
Meredith, let him
yeah,
finish.
no, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, that's all right, I just can't.
So
get both.
we have all that backup with the granular, like, this is what we're estimating. Again, this is an estimate, and then when we actually hit the year, special education changes.
Yeah.
It's such a volatile account. That's gonna change depending on what the students move in, move out, services change. But we can certainly in the budget process provide you an estimate of what we anticipate based on what we know at that time.
Well,
That's
we
not
don't
a
get
problem.
that, but every year our IEPs increase, yet every year the proposed amount is $55,000. For the last 3 years, it's been $55,000, and
For Medicaid reimbursement.
right,
So we're
and
big-
for the presentations that Mary does, I'm told that she's like, bill, we can get reimbursed for this, bill. Yet every year our IEPs are going up, and I know my son had speech. He had speech when he came here when he was 3. He had speech for the first 3 years, and they took my Anthem information. So when you say that the health insurance can't be billed, it says right online that they can. It says right in there, if the IEP, if the child has insurance, that you can bill if the IEP supports, and it gives you a breakdown of the services. So I
This-
know,
The school doesn't do that billing to private insurance.
Was
They
that
took-
was that
parents
an
to bill
outside
private
agency?
insurance.
no, my son had it done here, and they took my son's health insurance, and I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they billed it.
So can you check on that?
But
And if-
that's,
and
but
if
that's,
we're-
but that's the parents.
Right, but
That's
right,
not
but
the school.
no, they billed it from the school.
But then
telling
we
you they
wouldn't
billed it
have
from
to
the
take it
school.
out of the budget if it was billed from the school to your private insurance, we wouldn't have to pay for
But
that,
why are we
right?
paying OT and PT
If that were the
service,
case.
OT and PT services of $12,000?
Because that's very rare. That it's very it isn't billed to private
But
insurance.
it could be,
why?
right?
Why are we not getting the health insurance information? It is eligible.
I'm honestly, I've never heard of a school district billing private insurance for services provided to its children. If it's part of their IEP, it's our obligation as a school system to provide those services.
I'm telling
We
you,
can bill
I will
Medicaid.
I will request my son's
we
records because they
we
asked me for
don't
his medical
bill
information.
for what I'm saying is like if I'm so
No, that's
No,
all
you're
right.
fine.
So the
You-
school
but
is
you
not-
can check.
we can check. I can tell
Yeah.
you right now that we don't bill for
So when you have outside services, outside agencies do it.
I'm sorry, what outside agencies?
Yeah, just check and can you check on that for an update for us? And then
Because
the
I have a
other,
question.
Yeah.
If we do rehabilitation, OT and PT through Exeter, and we have a purchase order of $133,000, why are we not having them bill the student's insurance?
We're required to provide those
You
services.
are, but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean if they have insurance, the insurance won't cover it.
it's a good question.
Their insurance will absolutely cover it.
It covers your additional services. If you as a parent want
Right.
additional services for your child, it pays for that. It
Okay.
doesn't pay for what the school system is obligated to
Can we
provide.
check
Beyond the
Oh, just
IT,
in
that's
case.
just the facts.
Okay.
That's how it works.
You can bill for the health insurance.
And
So we're
let's check
clearly not
on
looking
it,
into
cause
that.
that's a lot of money.
We so
Can I just have a public comment, I hate to stop everybody, but it is still public comment, so can you come on up? I'll need you to state your name and your address for the record.
So if the provider is not, so maybe my son was having the OTPT services from an outside agency here, and they were billing it, but I am telling you,
Matt,
That's
That's
No.
very possible because
But
I've
if
not
we're-
seen
right,
that yet.
right, but what I'm saying to you is that if we are paying an outside agency that has to see, like a pediatric OTPT, and it's in their IEP, they absolutely can bill their health insurance.
yeah, so let's get
Because
on
they
that.
have to be contracted if they're pediatrician, OT and PT.
anything that can help save the budget money if possible.
I will reach out to Gretchen tomorrow to see if she's heard of,
I do
that
billing with the
going
town,
through.
so I know for a fact that we can.
Oh.
Even if we're doing, we must have signed a contract with this company, which would explain on the accounts payable invoice, it says, school contract, so I'm wondering if we signed a contract stating that we would pay them versus bill insurance, and if that's the case, then that's something we decided. But even if it's an IEP, and they're eligible for under the IEP, the health insurance will pay for it.
It's a really good thing to look into, and cause like laws change all the time, right, so it's worth looking, we're trying to do whatever we can, go ahead, you could say
Go
your
ahead.
name and your address, please.
Cassandra Hashem, Austin's Way. So I am a current parent of a student who is currently on an IEP and receiving services in this school. I can tell you with 100% confidence, because I am on the phone with our insurance company regularly, if by some miracle the school could bill my insurance, then my daughter would not be eligible to get any private services. My daughter specifically, and I can't speak to other students, has a rare genetic disease that is of no fault of anybody's. She receives multiple services through the school and multiple private services as well. My insurance is billed. If I told you what we pay annually in co-pays and insurance premiums, you probably would have a heart attack. That's in addition to the services she gets at school.
Mhm.
The school has separate goals for those same services to help her through her day. Example, she has OT at school. She has struggle writing. She has struggle gripping her pencil. She has struggle gripping her fork. There are multiple services that she needs to function through the day at school that the school is obligated to provide because it is in her IEP. Our insurance will not cover those services because it is the school's legal obligation to cover those services because they are relative to her education. Our insurance does cover OT and PT privately, which we also take her to every week. There's two different things that you're talking about, and as a parent of a student on an IEP with services, I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm baffled that it's not making sense. Because the school cannot bill my insurance because then I am not able to use my insurance that I pay a lot of money to use and get services through. The school has to provide services to my daughter and other students in similar situations that are relative to her education and her ability to function through the day here. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I'm telling you, they took my insurance and they billed my sons for speech when my son was here.
And
telling
I
you.
don't know what they did for you, Kelly,
Yeah.
and I can't speak to that, but I can say that your son's in 8th grade
Yep.
and my daughter's
Maybe
in
it
school
changed.
now,
Yep.
so this is what's going on right now, today.
But
So
we, for $133,000 invoice, I mean, for $133,000 for OT and PT services, agency on the outside, there has to be some type of reimbursement for that because we would be bankrupt. We would not be able to continue to afford this. So my point is that we are provided here on this board no documentation whatsoever of a breakdown of what we receive for reimbursement of services.
Yeah.
That is the biggest point. Whether it's from insurance, from the state, regardless, we're giving a bulk number and we're told we have 62 IEPs and this is the number we get reimbursed. That does not show me nothing. That doesn't show me anything.
Documentation. Are you finished?
I'm not sure
I
exactly what
guess,
you're
I
looking
guess.
to get.
I'm
but
I'm
I was-
looking for a breakdown on what that
Yeah, so-
money is reimbursing for because especially the
Thank you,
McKinney
Maria.
Venture Act.
I'm not sure how
Can
that.
she go ahead, you
I'm
wanna finish?
confused what you're asking, Kelly, so I'm just, again, I
Because we
can
really
only speak
shouldn't be
specific to
able
my
to
family, but
afford
we are not eligible for Medicaid, so
Yep.
the school gets reimbursed nothing for my child.
Okay,
So if, in general, I'm just trying to understand what is being asked. If there's 62 kids on an IEP and you're getting reimbursed $55,000, which covers, let's say, 12 kids,
Yeah, which I don't think is accurate.
then that means 50 kids are not eligible.
Right,
it
but
sounds
look
like
at our
that's-
demographics.
Can
We must
we,
have a lot of kids on
so
Medicaid
can we
or
just?
something's not accurate.
Why? I
Can
don't
you tell
qualify for
what
Medicaid,
it-
my daughter's on an
and
IEP.
We're
I know.
requesting from Matt right now. So, okay, go ahead.
I'm giving an example because the two don't equate. Kids who qualify for Medicaid do not necessarily equate kids who are on IEPs. Those
Okay.
are two
No, I know,
very
I'm
separate,
not saying
different
that.
things.
Okay,
She's trying to classify.
yeah,
it,
I'm
saying
just,
something
we're
I'm
just
not.
asking Matt for
I'm just asking for
information.
clarification,
Yeah.
Kelly, 'cause
You
that's
can
what you
go
said, that's
ahead
what it
and
sounded
speak,
like.
but
I didn't mean it that way.
no, we're just looking for Matt for
Trust me, I don't like when it
clarification.
sounds that way either. We're told that all the time about our demographics.
Okay.
I understand how you feel.
Alright,
So
thank you,
the,
Ms. Asham.
I think the distinction, I can answer the question as far as private insurance, so I think the confusion is the
I'm listening
school is obligated to provide services per their IEP for
Yeah.
students to access education. However, that doesn't mean that the student may not need additional services, but that's above and beyond what the school is required in order to just access education. Actually, speech is a great example, Kelly.
Mhm.
My kids
Yep.
were on a speech IEP, but we got additional speech because they only got the bare minimum in order to access education, but they still had speech issues that they needed to work on. So we billed, we paid, and were reimbursed through private insurance. So the parent can certainly bill for private insurance. I'm not sure what the example with yours. I mean, that must have been beyond the scope of the IEP.
No, it was in his IEP.
Then it might
was
be-
Anna who was here at the time.
So I
He came from
remember that.
McFarland Intervention, which is now Waypoint, and he came in and they granted him what was in his IEP because we had to bring our advocate with us because they didn't want to give him any services at all. And they asked for the insurance information. I had to sign a waiver with the insurance information. I'm gonna get my record.
So
Okay,
if you
well,
send me those records, I
I
have no
will.
idea why that would happen, and I can only assume that it was beyond the IEP, the services in the IEP, but I don't know. So if you send me those documents, we can certainly take a look at it. But we can't bill for the services that are included in the IEP that we're legally responsible for students to access education. Now as far as
So now I have another question. So
we get reimbursed for Medicaid, a very nominal amount. It's tiny. $55,000 is like nothing.
Yeah, that's it, that's what
Oh.
doesn't make
Right,
sense
but
to
that-
me when I
that's
see
the
that
breakdown that we
number,
should
it's
see.
like- So if we can just get any clarification on that, Matt,
So we can.
anything you could find.
I don't know, Denise. What kind of data can we provide them from? You know them.
It's, yeah, so Medicaid is billed as long as there's parent permission. The IEP,
why wouldn't they
the
get
services.
permission? Like, are we
Because some
asking,
parents
Don't wanna share that
absolutely.
information, it's asked every year.
There's a
so
lot of,
anyway,
yeah,
they don't want
scenarios
to-
of that.
They don't wanna give consent.
Yeah,
So you could have a child who's getting $55,000 worth of services, and if the parent doesn't consent, then you can't bill Medicaid for that. The school is still responsible.
okay.
No, I'm
So
just
we
saying we
can-
should have a breakdown of what you
Yeah.
get reimbursed and for what services.
And the other thing too is the McKinney-Vento,
I would have to
that
look
is
at that,
federal, right?
see
So
what kind of report
those
we can
invoices, do they get reimbursed from federal money, or where that's coming out of our budget? So
So
I would like,
in the past, we-
myself, I would like a process, if you could, I don't know who would supply it, but a process of McKinney-Vento, cause I know it's mandated. But I'd like to see the breakdown, I know it's a lot of money, it is enormous. And I didn't realize that comes directly out of our budget, that is unbelievable, so, and I'm not saying it's not me, but I just wanna know the process of how you become eligible for McKinney-Vento, cause I need to look at that a little more myself. But anything that you can share with the board to say this is why we have to do this, whether it's documentation, whether it's the law, I don't care what it is, I just wanna be able to see myself, because the enormous amount of invoices that are going out, I did not know it was coming out of our budget. Jen, did you know that? I had no idea, and it's
in the
so
budget,
much
and
money.
we do budget for it.
Wow.
It's under other transportation. We
Yeah.
budget for it every year.
Oh.
So that being said, I agree with you. It's an expense, and we've actually, it's gone over what we budgeted. So for this year, I think we have approximately $30,000 in McKinney-Vento.
Left.
No, that we've spent.
Oh, that's, okay.
I'd have to see what we budgeted.
Yeah,
but-
so kind of look at that, Matt, cause that's
but,
always been a
well,
big question.
let me just clarify what you're asking. You're
Yeah.
asking for us to explain the process. You want a written explanation of how we determine McKinney-Vento?
If you just wanna send me the laws of how it has to be or whatever, I'm willing to read them, but I also wanna see the real factual numbers to date and just see, especially now.
So how many
knowing-
students that we have?
Yeah, and no names, cause I feel like, you know what, even if we say CD, I just feel like there should be no identification at that point, just a student. Because yeah,
I
and
mean, so we can easily get you the number.
and the
I think we
process of
reported
how
that
you
in the
fall
past.
under McKinney-Vento too, because is it just that if I decide to move, and this is just a quick question, if I decide to move and go, say to South, I don't know, Amesbury, but the school system there doesn't offer what I'm looking for in Seabrook, can I then say, is that McKinney-Vento eligible because Seabrook's offering my child so much more? No, okay. Just curious, so anything you can give me to understand that, so no, they can't,
So we can provide you
Alright.
we can provide you the law and a summary
that'd
of
be
the
good,
law
and then how
and
many
the number of
kids,
students.
and the number to date that we're spending, cause it's, Matt, you know, you send it out, it's been so much that I'm like,
Yep.
I don't even know if I should sign this shit or not, cause I don't understand it, and I don't like signing off on money spending that I don't understand, but now you're saying, you know, this is out of the budget, even more so, anything that you can help me as a board member understand about it, I'd appreciate it, and I know it's federally mandated,
Yeah.
but I need to see more, cause the amount of money is, I agree with Kelly, I don't know how we're not in the
Well, I mean, I think that we also, I think it depends on how it's vetted too, because I know that we were told last year before it went in front of the budget committee that if there's a student that originates in Seabrook and they move away, that we are responsible for them, but then when it went in front of the budget committee, the example was that if the student originated somewhere else, but the drive would be too much, that it would make more sense, and the example was given of somebody who lived 2 hours away. And that was never an example to us, it was always, that there was.
Both are true, is what I'm saying.
Right, but the point is that if a student originates from somewhere else, then technically that school should be responsible, so.
It's a shared cost by both districts, but we'll send you the law.
But we
so you
that's
never
a
can see it.
shared
Right.
cost.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm saying, if we-
so we're only
7,000.
paying, that's only our portion.
Are you so it's
So-
$14,000 for a week's worth of transportation?
It could be a month, it was
Oh,
8,000,
I
that's
don't,
5 weeks.
wow. See, that's what I wanna understand, cause I mean, one of the biggest responsibilities of the school board, and I always say students first, but the other responsibility is the budget and the taxpayers' money, and you know what, it's not whether or not I can say to spend it or not to spend it, but I just wanna make sure when I sign off on those, that it's because I had to, and that's the law.
Well, we'll send you the law, we'll
Yeah,
send
I'd
you with
appreciate
the
that.
summary, we'll send the number of students and how much we've spent to date.
Per grade.
And
Yeah, can you
hopefully-
break
and
that
hopefully
down
that
by
will-
grade, Matt, just so we know what we're dealing with that? And the other thing I wanted to, there was something else and I forgot now, but I'm so public comment, are we at the 30-minute mark? Okay, so I wanted to motion to close public comment, and a second, and all in favor? Aye. And I guess that's about did we take the vote
No.
on, okay, we need to take the vote on the request of information.
so
Can I ask some clarifying questions before you take a vote?
so
Not right this second, but after you can, cause we already know what we want, and if you can't give it to us, that'll be a different story, but we know what the board's looking for. We can just have a motion in a second, and we can take some questions, and then we'll take the final vote, so,
I don't know if we can do what you're asking, so so it might be good to have this discussion before
But
you
there's-
take any vote.
so a motion and a second, and then I'll leave it open for conversation.
What's the motion going to be?
A motion to accept the request from our budget representative of the Seabrook School Board for the data information that she has asked, and the time frame again, I'll tell you, to the 12th of November will be the first prep meeting work session. The 18th will be a second, and the 24th will be a if needed, we'll leave that up, and if we need a school board meeting, well, we can have it also on the 24th, but
So
right
you're
now,
leaving the
25th
25th,
is a Sunday.
What was that meeting, Matt, the 25th you had available for us? It was a Monday of Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, so we have budget meetings on the 18th, the 25th, and December 3rd.
Okay, so we'll do the 12th, the 18th, the 25th,
And December 3rd.
and December 3rd, if they're needed, Matt, because I mean, that's 4 meetings is a lot, we should be able to.
Well, if you start on the 18th, we'll definitely have all the documents.
Well, we're
ready.
gonna start on the 12th, even if it's going through the things we didn't need documents for to look at. And then whatever you give us, we'll do for the 18th. So
So
motion and a second.
let me read this motion back so you guys can correct it to the wording
Yes.
that you want. So motion to accept request from budget rep for the data information.
This is not anything new, there's a whole timeline here from September 24th all the way up until the 17th of requesting this information.
You can give her that
Do,
copy.
I was gonna say, do you wanna give
Yeah,
me that
yeah,
copy
it's
and then I'll
basic-
just.
and then
to
the
the
email
minutes.
is right here, I mean, this is nothing new, I've been asking for this information and it started off that that only one board member cannot make this request, when in fact, it wasn't just myself, we were gonna try to do a special meeting and everything to do this. But Matt wasn't able to attend, and then, so we had to cancel it, so then we all, by discussion, and obviously in email, you can't make a decision, even though there's been meetings that we've agreed to, and that's never been an issue, but anyway, we all decided that you don't have to take minutes of this, I'm just explaining.
Yeah.
That I was gonna drop off a book at the SAU.
Yeah.
And explain, and I was never told when I said on September 26th that I would drop a book off. I dropped the book off on the 4th, and then I got an email from Meredith the day after that I can't just drop the book off, even though I had emailed way back on the 26th and said I was gonna do it. And then on the 7th, I emailed Matt just to let him know, hey, I dropped the book off, and then got an email from Meredith that I can't do that, we need to take a vote on the 7th.
So we will.
So we took a vote on the 7th, then I was told on the 8th, when I specified exactly what we wanted, that I had to take another vote because it wasn't specified in that vote exactly what I wanted in that vote on the 7th. And then I was told that it can't be done that way because of the way they sent it to the state. So then I said on the 9th that they don't have to send it to the state that way, we would just like to submit it to us that way. Then I was told on the 10th that we couldn't do it that way because of the way it's in departments. And then I said on the 11th that we needed, that the reason why, and it even says in the RSA 32.4 that the board, that they are to provide the budget in a way the board requires. And then on the 17th, 6 days later, I'm told by Meredith that we can wait until the school board meeting to make a vote so administrators know exactly what we're asking for.
So
Is that
that's what
so-
but
This could have been
so
done way
just-
back.
what I think is being said is that the motion has to explain exactly
Yeah.
what you would like.
So we
So
want, are you
that's
ready?
probably the motion
She
hasn't
didn't
been
type
done
that,
that
Kelly,
way,
yeah.
is why.
If
So,
they-
do you have it in
just-
writing?
Yes.
Just reference your papers
Yep.
and say
Okay,
that it's
that's fine.
for
That's my
the
email.
discussion.
So that was, if
Yeah.
you wanna send that to me, I will just
All right.
put motion to accept
Attach it to the
requests
See attached
minutes.
email.
from the budget
Yep.
rep for data information. So I will link
That email.
that email to that
Yes.
data information
Perfect.
for the 11-12 work session, 11-18 work session, 11-25 work session, and 12-3 work session if needed.
Yes,
Is
perfect.
that the motion
Yes.
that you want?
Yes.
And
Give
then
a
we'll
second.
just link that
Yeah.
to the
I
words.
just wanna point out that it does say that if there's anything that I forgot, that obviously
That
during the
Matt can
budget,
think
Matt
of,
would know,
obviously.
but it would just be by grade.
Right, if he can think of things that we didn't think of that would make it easier, then good. So do we have a
So who's
second?
making the motion?
Me.
Kelly,
Kelly.
Jen second, all in favor? Aye. Alright, and then Matt, if you have
Did you want
any-
anything
No,
Jen,
that's
before we go?
No, and I just wanted to ask one thing, if we could appoint Kelly to be the contact person with Matt instead of like me sending him something and Lacey sending him something and Jen sending him something. Can we make a motion to let Kelly be the contact between Matt, Nancy, and our budget rep? That way there is not so many people asking all questions. So I would like a motion for that, to make Kelly the I don't know, what do you, point person.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
She's been keeping track of it.
I know the
Motion,
budget committee's.
And I'll
working
second
on
it.
motion to appoint Kelly to be the contact person for requests to Matt.
So wait, isn't there
That's
already
it
a
in the
motion on the
budget.
table though?
What's that?
Wasn't there already
We
a
already
motion
took
on the
They already
vote for
took a
that.
vote on that.
So we didn't have the discussion that Matt was asking
Not
about
yet,
on that?
we're gonna finish this up, so Kelly's gonna be the point person. And Jen made the motion, I'm gonna second that. And then all in favor? Aye. And now, Matt, whatever you can and can't do after you take time to look at this, you can go back and forth with Kelly, Nancy, whoever it's gonna be. And then when we meet on the 12th, we'll be ready to have whatever we have to talk about. If you have anything ready, great. If you don't have it till the 14th, then that's what it's gonna be, but you'll get it to the board by the 14th, right?
So we
'Cause
need
I
to
wanna
let him to have the
prepare.
discussion, cause I'm not doing this
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, so
And this I'd like to
we're-
add is the reason for the 112 emails, because asking for anything is like pulling teeth.
It's too many. Go ahead.
So I think there's a little bit of a distinction here. So as part of the budget process, we can provide information that's not included in the budget. Like these items that you just asked for, we can pull it, we can provide that information. But it sounds like what you're asking for is to change the entire structure of the budget. Now, the confusion was when you taken the vote to change kind of how we presented the budget. It was to align it with the town's budget, which you provided the example, and we can do that. We structure our budget very similarly to the towns. It's by departments, but the thing is, it has to be by department. That's how our financial software is set up. There's 150 accounts. Even in the town's budget, it indicated that I guess they had commingled some health accounts with in the departments, and they had to separate that because it just makes no sense to combine those. I can't even comprehend how we would structure a budget where it's by grade. That's just not how we don't have that information. We could essentially take all the departments and divide it by 10 for the 10, but we're budgeting in buckets, right? We're budgeting for supplies, for books, print media, equipment, for our salaries, but we can't kind of combine all those individual accounts into kind of these arbitrary grade levels. It would be meaningless. Like I could divide them all and like kind of put them all together, but it'd be very similar. It just similar numbers, and it wouldn't really.
Well,
I don't
actually,
know
the town
how
has
that would
broken it
help
out.
us.
So what
That's-
I
that's-
wanted to
that's not
share
how
with
the
you
town-
on that piece.
They have
I got a
recently
piece
broke
right
out the
here that I'm gonna
insurance
make
for
it real easy for you. That,
By three
just on that
departments, but
piece.
it's health insurance by itself. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not by. It's not by like and the reason that they broke that out even into 3 separate areas is because one of those is an enterprise account, so they're trying to look at that's supposed to be self-funding, right?
Right,
But
yeah, the water
but
and sewer.
health, but regardless, health is separate, and it's all separate. It's the exact same way we have it.
can I tell you something that would be really helpful, and this is me. Back, I don't know, a couple months ago, I had asked for a breakdown, by grade of staffing. So Tim did one and, Colleen, it's all broken down by EAs, whoever works in that grade is all broken down. So if you could kind of piggyback on that, I'm pretty sure that extracting that information would not be, I mean,
And we
I
can-
could
and we
even
can pull
sit and
that
do
kind
it,
of-
there's
so like
just
the-
some things I can't.
We can
do.
pull individual information, like if you make that request, we can pull something for you. That's all in the budget. Like you'll see, like on the staffing, it says first grade teacher, second grade teacher. It shows you.
Yeah.
But if you have specific data requests separate from the budget, I can well, I can,
Can I forward
depending on what
those?
it is,
Kelly,
we
forward
can pull
those
the
to
data.
those
but
two people.
To change the structure of the actual budget, we really can't
So
do.
the
But if
the
you ask for
actual
like
budget is a whole
staffing
different
by
story.
grades, like that's, like we can provide that information.
Staffing, cost, how many, whether it's McKinney-Vento, special education, regular education. I had asked for a breakdown too of classrooms back, I don't know, probably 3 months ago now, just asking, how are classrooms placed? And now moreover, because people keep saying, hey, I think that they have classes without any special education or behavioral children, and they have classes with all regular ed. I said they could not do that. There's no way possible. So to say, because I believe all kids should be together and learn from each other. That's my opinion. But I wanted to see the breakdown so that whatever these parents are saying, I can say that's absolutely not true because I wouldn't think it would be. And I hope it's not, but I have yet to get that
So
breakdown.
that took Tim and Colleen and Christian a lot of time.
They did a wonderful
That's
breakdown.
that's it.
My whole concern is that, and again, I've been doing this budget for 4 years, so I know exactly what I'm thinking. The problem is you're giving us you're giving us a number of 62 IEPs, and you're giving us a cost of this. That does not tell me anything. So, for example,
But it's broken out by, it shows you
So we're not
how much
gonna
we're
go
paying
back.
for OT, it shows you how much we're paying for PT, it shows you how much the exact number of teachers, it shows you the number of EAs,
but
it
you're not
shows you
showing us
all
the
that
services,
detail.
Matt, so I can't justify
services.
You want us-
$130.
We can
We-
give you a service grid of how many hours we need to provide, that's
We
easy,
have-
but it doesn't,
You've
it's not,
never asked for that as part
Correct.
of
Oh,
the
That's
process.
why
excuse
that's
me, we
what we're
asked
trying
last
to
year
do.
for the social worker,
Okay.
proof of what she bills out, what she gets reimbursed, what services she provides.
but there's not a linear correlation between what is billed out and what we get reimbursed
No,
for.
but there's gotta
But
be
you can
something
give
that
us
shows
numbers
us so
for
that
what
we
you're-
have an idea.
What you're doing.
You know how many services
Yeah.
she provided? Sure.
We asked for that.
Yes.
At the deliberative session.
So we'll get
We
it.
asked for that before the deliberative session because we said that if you can prove to us that her position is being funded, then we can look into it.
And we can look into, do we need that? You know what I mean? And
I think we
do we have
provide a
the
lot of
numbers?
information
like
on the
this
social
year.
worker, and I'm sorry if
Are we
missed
Well, we're
social-
something.
Yeah, so now we have
But-
Annalise done over here. How often is she over here?
A day and a half. So
And what
that's-
are we
She's
using
only
for
here a day
the
and a half.
other
a
one?
week, yeah.
The
So that's
one from
Seabrook's
SAU.
portion.
Back to Annalise Dunn.
And
That's the
she's a
day
day
and
and a half, and we have no one else coming from SAU,
There
just
isn't
her?
anyone else.
Okay.
So
I mean,
there's
the
no
only
one
other
else assisting
shared
us from
service-
SAU?
The only other shared service that you have from the SAU is the ESOL teacher.
What about the
No,
curriculum right now?
Yeah, those are administrators,
Right.
those aren't
I mean, all the SAU
teacher
staff
contract positions.
works across all the districts, but I'm saying that the teacher that actually comes into the school, like we have the ESOL teachers and then we have the social worker.
So what we wanna do
We must
is,
have a curriculum too because
yeah, we wanna be able to look at
because
that
that's another update we get.
and
Sorry,
see how that
The
goes.
curriculum, the update on the curriculum.
I have no idea what you're saying.
We
What,
can go into non-public for a
what
minute if you
curriculum?
want.
No,
Do you wanna?
no.
Cause we can. Want to?
No, because it's not non-public.
Oh.
You just inferred that we kept you something from you. Can you please explain what it was?
Can you, can you please just, we made the vote, take the time to go over
I
the
just told you that's
documentation.
what is being asked is impossible and we can't and furthermore that's not won't be acceptable to provide.
Well, you know what, our town of Seabrook, right here in our school district, can hear you loud and clear, saying that you cannot provide,
We can't
town
break
of
down the
Seabrook will
budget
break
by
down.
grade level, and that's
So,
not something we can submit to
then
the
we
state.
will
That's
deal
not how
with
the
that and
financials.
that when
That's
it
how
comes.
no school district
Okay.
in the country
So we
budgets
So-
that way.
Wait a minute, so when we have students come in and they're registered for third grade,
We can provide you information. So if you want to know certain information by grade level, we will provide that for you. We'd be happy to.
okay, so that's what we asked.
well, the enrollment's down, I looked,
We
what
can't break
is
down
it,
the we
five
can't break down the
something?
entire we can't
We're
create the
going way
whole
down.
budget by grade. That's impossible. And that's and it's irrelevant. I don't know exactly what kind
It's irrelevant to you, but if you were a taxpayer in Seabrook and you came up to me and said, hey, I wanna know why you have 5 or 10 people in a certain grade, but yet in a middle school grade, because they have 2 kids here, you have no help. That's for me to look at them and say,
So
wow, it's
that's-
impossible for me to answer
So
that.
I can provide you that, that's in the budget, and if you'd like, I can
Listen,
certainly
we
point it
made
to
a
you.
motion as a board and we're gonna be respected as a board and we're gonna respect you and respect that you will get us what you can. And if the can't comes in, we will figure it out at that point. We will meet again on the 12th because we can't keep going back and forth. It's not getting anywhere. We made a motion.
I'd like to help you and get you what
Yeah.
you want, but what you're asking for is impossible.
Well,
with
then
that
we'll
budget.
see what you
And it's-
come up
and
with
it's-
on the 12th.
It's not helpful, and I don't
Okay.
understand what you're aiming for,
Okay.
so.
Alright, so is that it? Cause we promised everybody would have a short meeting, cause Matt has another meeting to go to. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, Kelly, we good? Alright, so, with that said, a motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
do we have a second?
At 5:20?
Second,
Kelly, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
and all in favor? Aye. Thank you.